welcome to NACTV Reads the Banner. My name is Catherine Jasnick, and I'm one of many volunteers that help create programming for our station. You may be joining us online, Neepawa Access Live, WCG 12, Channel 30 Direct Sight Line, MTS, or Bell Express View. These broadcasts are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, and donations by viewers like yourself. If you enjoy what you see and hear, please consider supporting us by a donation or by volunteering. Contact our office at 204-476-2639 or nactb@wcgwave.ca. Today I am reading the Neepawa Banner dated Friday, March the 10th. And of course, after the big blizzard that we've just come through, what's more appropriate than the front page with a huge big picture showing some of the construction equipment trying to clear our roads. It's called Digging Out From Under. Neepawa and surrounding area has emerged from a massive snowstorm relatively well. The system, which blanketed all of the province on Monday and Tuesday, shut down highways and left motorists stranded in some areas. Near Neepawa, many rural property owners found themselves snow stranded for a couple of days. And the picture is of Neepawa town employee Dwayne Crandall clearing snow along Smith Drive on Wednesday, March the 8th. And I'm sure there was many people, including myself, that were digging out from that. And we had the HMK Grade 5 Science Fair taking place on March the 2nd. And up on the top left corner, it shows the fellow students and parents touring through the displays and the young scientists explaining their experiments. And we have more photos of the students at the science fair on the back. And the HMK Grade 5 Science Fair took place March 2nd. And the fellow students and parents toured through the displays set up in the school's gym. And one picture shows Jillian and Lincoln talking about their experiment to see which liquids would support the most weight. And another photo shows John Paul talking about his experiment, which tested whether flowers watered in dyed water would change color. It'd be interesting if they put the answers in there. And the town is asking residents to conserve water. The town of Neepawa is asking residents to conserve water for the next 30 days, as a recent hydro outage has resulted in repairs at one of the well sites. Administration says that the repairs will not affect water quality, but may result in reduced volumes of water production. They thank residents for their patience and understanding. And if you need further information, just contact the town administration office at 204-476-7600. And hopefully enough people will cut back that we won't end up having to ration it. Fundraising breakfast planned. The roof collapse at the Kelwood skating rink on January 14 affected winter activities involving skating, broomball, and hockey, etc. In an effort to raise funds, the Kelwood Playground and Wellness Committee is organizing a pancake breakfast being held 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Kelwood Community Center on Sunday, March the 12th. And the Legion ladies donate to HMK Playground. Hazel M. Kellington's new playground, planned to be completed and ready for use in fall 2017, is even closer to becoming a reality after the Legion Ladies Auxiliary Supper and Quilt Raffle on February 17. Before the supper, HMK Principal Alan Hankey said that there was about $94,000 raised for the new playground, which will be located on the south side of the schoolyard. Now he says the school is very close to its fundraising goal, thanks to a check for $5,000 that the Legion ladies presented at the supper. A big thank you goes out to the Parent Council for organizing the desserts and helpers, Mary Murray for donating the quilt that was raffled off, and the Legion ladies for spearheading the entire event, Hanky enthused in the March School newsletter. The school will be deciding on the structure and ordering it this spring so that it can be installed over the summer. And Brandon authored to read new novel at the Neepawa Library. After a health setback in October, Brandon author Craig Russell is ready to bring some local literature to the Neepawa Public Library this April. Before suffering a heart attack in the fall, the published author of 2 novels had planned to do a reading from his book called Fragment and a question and answer session at the library on October 27 of last year. Now he's excited for another chance to bring readers into his exciting, fast-paced fictional world. Fragment, a scientific thriller about a looming ecological disaster, takes place in the cold isolation of Antarctica and involves a colorful cast of characters. Glaciers in Antarctica avalanche, and they push the Ross ice sheet, which is an incredibly huge thing, it's the size of France, out into the ocean, and then, of course, the ocean currents start moving it, Russell explains. While convalescing, Russell had lots of good news to cheer him to recovery. The second edition of his first book, Black Bottle Man, has recently been released, and Fragment received a positive review from the American magazine Analog. The reading will happen at 5:30 at the Neepawa Public Library on April the 20th. And World Day of Prayer at St. Dominique's focuses on the Philippines. World Day of Prayer, a worldwide event put on by the World Day of Prayer Committee, was observed in Neepawa on March 3rd at St. Dominique's Roman Catholic Church. The event was focused on the Philippines with the theme, Am I Being Unfair to You?, with the prayer service being written by the World Day of Prayer Committee of the Philippines. People from all denominations and churches in town gathered in the recently renovated St. Dominique's main sanctuary to pray, worship, hear readings from the Bible, and testimony from local Filipino people, as well as written testimony from the point of view of overseas Filipino women. A Filipino flag was placed in front of the assembled faithful, along with different items representing the Philippines, including oil, water, bananas, and a pineapple. Over $400 was collected to be sent to the Women's Interchurch Council of Canada. Prayers were offered for children in need of health care, overseas Filipino workers who require just laws, young people who are looking for education, Indigenous people who want to preserve their people's legacy, and farmers and laborers. Canada, and Neepawa especially, has a strong connection to the Philippines, with people from the tropical country making up the largest group of immigrants to the country in 2014, according to Statistics Canada, many of whom are women doing domestic and caregiver work. The Canadian Council of Refugees recently released a report on migrant workers, which highlighted provincial and federal policy systems that don't work or don't provide enough help and protection for migrant workers. Oh, and I should mention the Wednesday night bingo at NACTV. It's ongoing every Wednesday night at 7 on Channel 12 of MTS 30, Bell Express View 592, or online at nactv.tv. This is hosted by Harris Pharmacy, Neepawa Pharmacy, Dollar Store, Neepawa Legion, Tim Tom's, CWD Satellite, Flashback Music and Collectibles, and NACTV bingo cards are available for $12 each at those stores. This is one of the fundraisers for NACTV, so I would hope that people would support it, and it's a fun way of getting that support. While we were talking about the Philippines, and in that connection, we have an article somewhere in here about conversational Tagalog being taught in Neepawa. Tagalog, the Austronesian language that is spoken as a first language by a quarter of the population of the Philippines and as a second language by nearly every Filipino citizen, is now being taught in Neepawa. With the influx of Filipino immigrants to the area over the last few years, Arts Forward in Neepawa decided, after hearing enough requests for it, to offer a conversational Tagalog class. The first 10-week program just ended, but according to Rain Pryor, Director of Programming at Arts Forward, another course will be offered after spring break, due to continued high interest in it. A lot of people are interested in learning basic conversational elements, she explains. Counting, saying hello and goodbye, and thank you, just for interest's sake and to be more welcoming to our community. Pryor goes on to say that the interest from the community in learning Tagalog really shows how Neepawa has rallied around its new residents. I think it really just shows how welcoming Neepawa is becoming to our new population. We are a very quickly growing community, and I think it's wonderful to see that we are embracing this new population. Rosario Mila Ignacio, who works at the Settlement Services and is herself a Filipino immigrant to Neepawa, teaches Tagalog to the students who enroll in the course. She says she's very pleased with the interest people in Neepawa have shown in Filipino culture. It's just so lovely to hear that people would really go to that extent, that they would want to know about the language, she enthuses. Anything that would really make two cultures understand each other better is really a great help. According to Ignacio, the lessons start with information about the Philippines in general, culture, landscape, climate, and more, before moving on to learning the language. The course costs $5 and is open to people of all ages. And while on this page, the showcase that NACTV was going to have has been postponed due to the blizzard and the road closures. They could not get all their technical people in place with enough time to spare to prepare for it. So the showcase is postponed to Thursday, March the 16th, 2017. I'd urge you all to watch that or go to the Roxy and watch it live, which would be really good. And this is sort of in the term of an advertisement, but it may be very informative to our viewers. Landmark Development is proposing a 50-plus seniors housing development coming in 2017. Open house is on Sunday, March the 19th at 3 p.m. at Arts Forward, which is the former Viscount Cultural Center. There would be 21 to 27 units, 2-bedroom, approximately 1,100 square feet, life lease, located on the old Murray's Garage property. It's townhouse-style development, which would be coming in 2018. So if anybody's interested in that, it might be good to go and hear what they have to say on that. I know seniors housing is a big issue in Neepawa. And any man can be a father. This is Rita Friesen's Homebodies column. Back in '97, my father was 74 years of age. He was already a widower. His Parkinson's was progressing, and he moved to an independent living suite in the care complex. Still a reader, still a quoter of poetry, and still a deep thinker. For his birthday, I chose a simple 5x8 print, matted and in a cherry wood frame. The scene is a simple one. A father trudging through the snow and carrying a bucket. followed by a young girl and her cat. They are heading out to the little barn to feed the sheep, Cheviots and Shropshires. Soft tones and gentle edges. It is truly pastoral. The quote accompanying it, "Any man can be a father, but it takes someone special to be a dad." My dad looked at it closely and wondered if it was a photo of him and I doing the evening chores. It isn't, but the memories of the picture evoked for him were the same as mine. It could have been us. Backing up even further, I recall as a very young girl following my dad everywhere. He strode with a purpose as he moved around the farm. Well, he frequently stopped to discuss history and philosophy, but when necessary, he strode with a purpose. He toed out, and I tried so hard to match his steps with length and angle. Came a time in life when I once again learned to match my pace to his. But now we were walking slowly, stopping often, and under the guise of talking, really catching our breath and garnering our strength. The man who is known for his physical powers, walking down school corridors on his hands, feet straight above him, or known for his ability to jog trot 3 miles home from the school while his horses rested from the morning school route, and then jog trot back to the school to get us all back home, that man was still there, but shadowy. Step forward, far forward, and watch me watching my husband being a father. Stepping in to be a dad in every sense of the word, embracing a house full of children, nurturing them, guiding them, playing with them, teaching them life skills and values. He taught his family to trust in the goodness of God, to live a humble life, and always, always admit when you goofed up, and as much as possible, make amends. He taught by example, work hard, be honest and fair, enjoy life. As our son accepted the reality that Dad would not always be with us, he said to him, "You left me big shoes to fill." Dad's reply summed up his acceptance of his children. "Never mind trying to fill my shoes, you have your own shoes to fill." And in his way and in his turn, my son, is leaving a wonderfully large pair of shoes for his children to fill and encouraging them in their turn to fill their own shoes. She always has such interesting stories. And editor Kate Jackman Atkinson's column, My Perspective, is titled Foreign Advantage. It's not a surprise that governments are slow to adapt to changing times. Bound by bureaucracies and protocols, they tend to be playing catch-up, deciding how best to react to the choices already made by citizens. While overall, I don't mind that our governments aren't prone to rash decision-making, the glacial pace can create deep inequities, something that has been brought into sharp focus. I like social media. It's a great way to catch up with friends around the world and to stay in touch with your favorite businesses. But there are a lot of things that social media sites aren't good at. They aren't good at differentiating between reliable and unreliable sources, and they aren't at all good at generating unique content. Someone from Facebook won't tell you what's happening with your municipal taxes or be at your kid's science fair. Facebook isn't letting you know about inspiring people in your community or who's been arrested. You might find these things on Facebook, but they were created by someone else, one of the numerous media outlets out there, on the streets and in their offices, working to inform the broader community. These media operations also pay taxes. They pay corporate taxes. They pay sales taxes. They pay property tax, and they pay their staff, who then pay income tax. In a column recently published in the Globe and Mail, Bob Cox, Winnipeg Free Press publisher and chair of News Media Canada, said that his relatively small chain pays $17.2 million in municipal, provincial, and federal taxes each year. foreign-based media, such as Facebook or Google, don't have these same expenses. Sure, they pay some taxes in Palo Alto or Menlo Park, where they are based, but it's unclear how much tax the companies pay on their Canadian operations. By all estimates, it's a fraction of what Canadian media companies are paying. In France, the government has become so concerned about Google that in May 2016, 100 police officers, including magistrates and forensic IT specialists, raided the company's headquarters in Paris as part of an ongoing tax fraud investigation. Both Google and Facebook aggressively employ international corporate entities and tax havens to reduce their taxes. According to the Daily Mail, in 2014, Facebook paid just $4,327 in corporate taxes in the UK. According to Reuters, in 2014, Google moved 10.7 billion euros through the Netherlands to Bermuda, which has no income tax, in order to cut its tax bills. Canadian operations could see similar numbers. According to the Financial Post, Google was the 95th largest company in Canada, with $4.4 billion in revenue. Facebook doesn't split its Canadian and American income, which combined was $5.84 billion for 2015. That revenue comes from selling ads to approximately half of all Canadians, the number of Canadian Facebook users. Just how much tax is actually being paid on that revenue isn't clear, but likely not a lot. Beyond tax avoidance, a quirk in the Canadian tax law also provides an uneven playing field for foreign media companies. Article 19 of the Income Tax Act prevents Canadian companies from deducting expenses related to advertising in foreign publications or television stations. However, it was developed in a pre-internet world and doesn't apply to foreign websites. This means that all internet advertising is tax deductible. Additionally, advertisers placing ads on Facebook aren't charged GST, another hit to the government's coffers. The recently released Shattered Mirror report advocated taxing international media companies and using the money to create a pool to better help Canadian media move into the digital world. I don't think that's necessary, but I think the inequity must be addressed. I want to see international companies operating in Canada face at least the same tax burden as Canadian companies, whether it comes by way of changes to allowable deductions for advertisers or taxation on the company's Canadian revenue. It's time for fairness. Foreign companies shouldn't have such an unfair advantage. And that's definitely a good thing to point out. And out of Helen's kitchen, Mennonite recipes. This year, Canada is celebrating 150 years since Confederation. I thought I would spend the next several months showcasing some old recipes in Canada's honor. In 1874, to escape their plight in their homeland, a large group of Mennonites arrived in Manitoba seeking cultural and religious freedom. For them, the Canadian prairies represented a safe place to resettle. The Canadian government believed that they would make perfect settlers in the West as they were farmers in Russia. By 1880, there was over 6,000 Mennonites in the Steinbach area. In Canada, they had religious freedom, their own schools, and would never have to join the army. Their temporary homes that first winter was a semlin, which is a sod hut, with few amenities. Bread was baked out of doors in a special oven heated with flax straw and badger brush. They were an industrious people and soon prospered. My first introduction to Mennonite food was at Steinbach Mennonite Village. 1 taste of rhubarb plats, and you know why these recipes have been bringing families and communities together at the table for generations. And there's a recipe here for rhubarb plats. 3 cups of flour, a half a teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon baking powder, 1.5 cups white granulated sugar, half a cup butter, 1 egg, 4 tablespoons cream, 5 cups chopped rhubarb, 1 cup white sugar, 2 tablespoons flour, and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. Prepare the rhubarb and set aside. In large mixing bowl, place the 3 cups of flour, the salt, baking powder, and the white sugar. Stir thoroughly to blend. Rub the butter in with hands to form crumbs. In separate small bowl, combine egg and cream. Slowly add the egg cream mixture to the crumbs. Be sure to add only enough liquid to make soft crumbles. Place half of the crumble mixture into greased 9x13 baking pan. Pat it down. Place chopped rhubarb onto top. Stir together the 1 cup of white sugar, 2 tablespoons flour, and cinnamon. Sprinkle the sugar mixture over the rhubarb. Cover with remaining crumb mixture. Bake at 350 oven for 30 to 40 minutes until done. A nice light golden brown. Do not overbake. And there is another recipe here as well, and I won't read it, but it'd be very interesting. It's called a Fleischpersky recipe, a modern version from her son-in-law, which is something like a pierogi but filled with meat. Might be something that people might want to try. The Dispatch, the Spruce Plains RCMP report, is titled "The Warning Must Have Fallen on Deaf Ears." On February the 5th, at approximately 1 a.m., police were driving west on Highway 16 near Gladstone when a vehicle approached from behind and passed police at a very high rate of speed. An attempt was made to stop the vehicle, which ended when driving conditions became dangerous for both vehicles. Police continued to search for the vehicle as it was seen driving north on 265 towards Plumas and turned onto a gravel road. While patrolling, police located the vehicle in a rural property, at which time the vehicle sped towards the 2 marked police vehicles and narrowly avoided a collision. While police were at this location, it was found that 8 passengers had exited the vehicle before the suspect took off. As a result, police arrested 3 youths and 5 adults in relation to the offense and transported them back to Neepawa Detachment. 2 individuals, Talon Meachas and Samuel Francoeur, both of Long Plains First Nation, were also arrested on outstanding warrants of arrest. While speaking with all parties involved, police were told the identity of the driver. On February 10, on the strength of a warrant of arrest, police located and arrested Gerard Peddle of Plumas. Peddle has been charged with operation of motor vehicle while being pursued by police, dangerous operation of motor vehicle, assault on a police officer with a weapon, and 2 counts of resisting arrest. All charges are still before the courts. On February 5th at approximately 8:50 a.m., Neepawa RCMP were dispatched to a disturbance at a residence located in the municipality of Westlake Gladstone. Upon police arriving, a male was seen exiting the residence and then returning back into the residence when he saw police. Police entered the residence and located the male who was arrested. Police located loaded firearms in the residence near the male. As a result, Timothy Hassard has been charged with careless use of a firearm and 2 counts of unsafe storage of firearms. On February the 8th at approximately 12:30 p.m., Neepawa RCMP were called to a residence on Whitmore Crescent for a domestic disturbance. A male had reported that he was assaulted by his partner. Police attended the residence and upon investigation determined that both parties had assaulted each other. As a result, both parties were arrested and charged for domestic assault. On February 8, police conducted a traffic stop on Highway 16 and found a male driver from Saskatchewan to be operating a motor vehicle while disqualified. The driver was charged under the Highway Traffic Act, and the vehicle was impounded. The following day, the registered owner attended the Minnedosa court office and applied to have the vehicle released, which was granted. The owner attended the Neepawa detachment with the release documents and had her vehicle released. The male driver was also present and warned not to operate the vehicle again. The warning must have fallen on deaf ears, as a short time later, police located the same male operating the same vehicle. Mirza Kalki of Saskatoon was once again charged with driving while disqualified, and Cheryl Sekundiak was also charged permitting an unauthorized person to drive. The vehicle was once again impounded. Some people don't learn. On February 10th at approximately 10:45 p.m., Minnedosa RCMP were called to the Minnedosa Inn for a fight in progress involving a number of individuals. Police arrived to find all the individuals gone, except for one male who had received injuries to his head and a pane of glass at the entrance that didn't make it through the disturbance. A male suspect was located and arrested for assault with a weapon. However, the victim did not want to cooperate with police. As a result, Robert Demchuk and Terrian Laquette, both of Minnedosa, were charged with being disorderly in or near a licensed premise. Shanella Spence was arrested and charged with mischief under $5,000 for smashing a window at the Minnedosa Inn. On February 12th at approximately 10:30 a.m., Neepawa RCMP came across an intoxicated male walking on Mill Street. Police checks confirmed the male was on an undertaking to abstain from the consumption of alcohol. As a result, Alan Crook was arrested and charged for failing to comply with the condition of his undertaking. They had quite a report this month. On February 25th, at approximately 11:15 p.m., Minnedosa RCMP observed a vehicle fail to stop at a stop sign at the junction of Highway 10 and 24. A traffic stop was conducted and a lone male was observed in the vehicle. Police noticed an open can of beer located in the back seat and had the male exit the vehicle to dump out the beer. At this time, it became evident to police that the driver may be impaired. The driver was arrested for impaired operation of a motor vehicle and transported back to the Minnedosa RCMP detachment to provide samples of his breath. The male provided 2 samples of breath with both readings of 200 milligrams of alcohol in 100 milliliters of blood. As a result, Jeffrey Gunnarsson of Onanole has been charged with impaired operation of a motor vehicle. During the month of February, Spruce Plains RCMP responded to a total of 222 files. Speeder of the month went to David Horsman of Yorkton, Saskatchewan, who was caught traveling 137 kilometers an hour in a posted 100 kilometer per hour zone by Constable Cowan. The fine amount was $535. They've had a busy time, haven't they? And women of distinction recognized. We have a photo of women that were nominated and are now winners of the YWCA Women of Distinction Awards. The 30th annual YWCA Women of Distinction Awards Gala took place on Thursday, March the 2nd, at the UCT Pavilion Keystone Center, Brandon. MC Candace Bowles presented 15 nominees who were being selected for 9 categories. The event was a great success, acknowledging the impact these women have in their communities. The gala included a delicious meal and entertainment provided by talented members of Dance Images. YWCA Brandon is celebrating 110 years of service offered at Westman Women's Shelter and Meredith Place. Events like this, supporting the eliminating of homelessness, domestic violence, other issues facing women. And traffic stop nets cash. On March the 2nd at approximately 1 p.m., Manitoba RCMP Traffic Services stopped a 2017 Dodge Durango traveling at 150 kilometers an hour in a posted 100 kilometer per hour zone on the Trans-Canada Highway west of Carberry. Subsequent investigation resulted in a small amount of marijuana and more than $200,000 in cash seized from within the vehicle. Attempting to transport proceeds of crime on our roadways is a costly proposition, said Inspector Ed Moreland, officer in charge of traffic services in Manitoba. Proceeds gained from criminal acts have no safe passage in Manitoba, as we will enforce the laws to the fullest extent. The following have been charged with possession of a controlled substance contrary to the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act, and possession of proceeds of crime over $5,000, contrary to the Criminal Code of Canada. Darren Gurniak, age 50, of Port Coquitlam, BC, Justin Poitra, 28, of Winnipeg, Manitoba, and Leah Merle, 30, of Winnipeg. It was quite the haul to find there. I am going to, at this time, go to the obituaries just to make sure that we have enough time for them. Rick E.J. Evans. It is with great sadness that we announce the passing of Rick on Saturday, February the 4th, 2017, surrounded by his family. A service to celebrate Rick's life was held on Friday, February the 10th, 2017. Ricky Ernest John Evans was born in Neepawa on September the 30th, 1950, to Art and Helen Evans. Rick was the second of 3 children, his sisters being Jeanette Ray and Deborah Lee. Rick grew up on the farm at Northeast 1, 1316. That was established by his grandfather and grandmother, Ernest Raymond and Janet Ellen Evans. His mom and dad, Arthur and Helen Evans. Well, we had a slight pause because we lost some sound, but we have it back. So we are starting obituary of Rick E.J. Evans. It is with great sadness that we announce the passing of Rick on Saturday, February 4, 2017. Surrounded by his family. A service to celebrate Rick's life was held on Friday, February 10th, 2017. Ricky Ernest John Evans was born in Neepawa on September 30th, 1950, to Art and Helen Evans. Rick was the second of 3 children, his sisters being Jeanette Ray and Deborah Lee. Rick grew up on the farm at Northeast 1, 1316. That was established by his grandfather and grandmother, Ernest Raymond and Janet Ellen Evans. His mom and dad, Arthur and Helen Evans, lived on the farm for over 30 years, and then Rick and Pat took it over. Rick attended Brookdale School until 1967 and continued his grade 12 schooling in Neepawa, where he graduated. In 1970, he joined the Canadian National Railway as a signals apprentice, which was based out of Kamloops, BC. In 1972, he decided to return to Manitoba to continue his education at the University of Manitoba in Winnipeg, where he achieved a diploma in agriculture in 1974. Upon graduating, he returned home to work in partnership with his father on the home farm and then on his own. In 1980, Rick married Patricia Kataska, and they took up residence on the home farm after Art and Helen moved to Brookdale. On September 19, 1981, their first son, Kelly, was born. Their second son, Kevin, was born November the 2nd, 1983. Rick and Pat farmed together all their marriage and in 2005, their son Kelly joined the farming operation. In addition to his farm career, Rick served on council in Ward 2 of the Arm of Langford for 14 years and then as Reeve for 12 years. Rick is survived by his wife, Pat, his sons, Kelly, Joanna, and Kevin, Meredith, his 3 precious grandchildren, Cameron, Avery, and Rowan, his sisters, Jeanette Ray and Debbie, Doug, as well as many cousins, nieces, and nephews, extended family members, neighbors, and friends. Rick was predeceased by his mother, Helen, father, Art, and nephew, Darcy. Donations may be made in Rick's memory to South Winds Horse Rescue, Inc., Box 123, Oakville, Manitoba, Cancer Care Manitoba Foundation, Winnipeg, or a charity of your choice. George Lyons Cargill, 1946 to 2017. It is with great sadness that we announce the passing of George Lyons Cargill after a lengthy illness. George is survived by his wife, Lane England, son Jeremy, Jennifer, daughter Naomi, and grandchildren Nathan, Kane, Samantha, Marcus, Leland, Lincoln, Gabriel, and Jocelyn, as well as by his sister Pat, Gary, and numerous nieces, nephews, and cousins, and his aunt Loretta Cargill. George was predeceased by his parents Lionel Cargill and Grace Duncan, grandson Dorian, son Jonathan, and daughter-in-law Marianne. The family would like to thank Dr. Weeb and the staff at Neepawa Hospital, and Dr. Goosen, Dr. Kahn, and the staff of Brandon Regional Health Center for their compassionate care of George over the last 3 years. Thanks also to our St. James Church family and those in the community for their prayers and support, for gifts of food, offers of vehicles, and for the visits George received while in and out of hospital. In George's honor, donations may be made to the Beautiful Plains Community Foundation or a charity of your choice. Viola Ada Gardner. Ada passed away suddenly at her home 3 weeks shy of her 92nd birthday. She lived in her home surrounded by the things that were important to her and supported the many memories of those she loved. Viola Ada Gardner was born on March 26, 1925, in the Arm of Whitehead, near Souris. Ada received her education at Millen and Goodland schools. She worked for a few families in the Goodland district before working at Eaton's Mail Order in Winnipeg for many years. In 1972, she moved to Neepawa and worked at the Osborne home and then at Eastview Lodge from 1974 until retiring in 1988. Ada enjoyed family gatherings, driving her car, attending auctions and yard sales. She was happy being in her home, playing bingo, crocheting, and growing flowers. She could also be found volunteering at the Neepawa Hospital gift shop and was active in the seniors drop-in. Ada is survived by her sister, Mildred Coughlin, sister-in-laws Joyce Gardner and Juan Gardner, numerous nieces and nephews, all that were very special to her, and special friend Maureen Sneeden. She was predeceased by her parents, Felix and Eddie, Uncle Wally, brothers Walter, Fred, Jack, and George, sister Ethel, special friend Melvin Langseth, brothers-in-law Wilfred Wilson, Gerald Thompson, Warren Coughlin, sisters-in-law Mary Gardner, Irene Gardner, and Frida Gardner, nephews Gordy Gardner, Danny Wilson, Blaine Gardner, Elmer and Larry Wilson, niece Shirley Stewart. In lieu of flowers, donations may be made to a charity of one's choice. Memorial service to take place on Thursday, March the 9th at 2 p.m. at the Glenella Community Hall with Rita Friesen officiating. Final resting place is Goodland Cemetery. And those are the obituaries. going to leave some of the big stories and go through some of the other ones here. The first Sunday Mass celebrated at St. Dominique's since the roof work was completed. Neepawa Catholics who gathered at St. Dominique's Roman Catholic Church on Sunday, March the 5th, had a bit more elbow room as well as more room to sit down, while the first Sunday Mass was celebrated in the main sanctuary of the church since work was finished on the building's roof. Father Mark Phillips, pastor at St. Dominique's, was joyful about being able to celebrate Mass in the main sanctuary again. I still find myself heading downstairs for Mass, he joked to his flock. There's been a major push in fundraising for the new roof, which has been under construction for the past several months as part of the Raise the Roof fundraiser at the church. The Filipino Cultural Festival was held on August 27 of 2016 and raised $5,715 for the cause. Now that the work on the roof has been complete, the faithful look forward with joy to celebrating the resurrection of Christ at Easter. This Sunday, Archbishop Richard Gagnon from the Archdiocese of Winnipeg will be visiting the church to do a special blessing of it and its congregants. Lent is also a busy time for the church. In addition to its regular schedule of several Masses being held a week, the Stations of the Cross are being prayed each Friday at 7 p.m. until Easter. A Lenten Day of Reflection is also being put on by St. Dominique's Catholic Women's League on March the 25th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., featuring guest speaker Father Jerry Ward and a CWL soup and sandwich sale on Thursday, March the 30th from 11:30 to 1 p.m. Phillips encouraged his congregation who gathered at Mass to take advantage of these opportunities to deepen their faith during Lent. According to St. Dominique's Financial Blessings, published in the church's monthly bulletin, a total of $2,102 was donated to the church for its Raise the Roof fundraiser from the end of January 28th to March 19th. That's quite a bit of money in that short a time. Now then, we're going to do a couple of items on our sports because they're quite apropos for this week. A day before their most important game of the season, members of the Neepawa Natives Hockey Club celebrated with the fans at the annual year-end banquet. Just over 200 people filled the Yellowhead Hall on Saturday, March the 4th, for the festivities, which provided players, coaches, sponsors, and fans a chance to interact before the club's playoff deciding showdown with the Swan Valley Stampeders. While the majority of the player awards were handed out during the team's final home game the following night, several volunteer honors were presented, including Mike Hodgins receiving the Keith Jordan Memorial Award for his long-standing volunteer service to the club. Hodgins has done a wide variety of work for the team, from driving the bus to road games to game day music and online updates. Other awards announced included Kevin Cook receiving the Gary Ridley Memorial Award and Tyler Gutenberg earning the Lionel Crowther Award. Reagan Buchanan was voted the winner of the Sure Grow Monroe Farm Services Limited People's Choice Award. That award was voted upon by the fans over the course of the regular season. The winners of the 2017 Neepawa Natives Cash Draw were also selected and announced. Cam, Kristen, and Hannah Tibbett won the big prize of $15,000. Though this year's draw was not a sellout, it was still very well received. Team President Ken Waddell said overall the Board of Directors is very happy with how the evening transpired. It was a great night, the meal was excellent, and everyone was celebrating in anticipation of a victory for Sunday's game. The players were very upbeat at the banquet, and they came through big time with the win over Swan Valley, noted Waddell. The positivity of the year-end banquet carried over to the next evening in the final home game of the MJHL regular season, as the Neepawa Natives defeated the Swan Valley Stampeders 6-3. And the playoff rally is set for Sunday. The Neepawa Natives Booster Club is planning to hold a big pep rally at the Yellowhead Center on Sunday, March the 12th, to kick off the team's first playoff run in 7 years. Head coach Dustin Howden said at the start of the year he promised the team would be in the playoffs, and the players responded to his guidance in spades, winning 9 of their last 12 games, many of them in convincing fashion. During that run, Neepawa beat the 4th-ranked team in Canada, the league-leading Steinbach Pistons, late in March and clinched their playoff spot against 8th-place rivals, the Swan Valley Stampeders, on March the 5th by a 6-3 score. The Sunday pep rally is open to everyone and will feature music, food, and a lot of fun. Food and refreshments will be modestly priced. High Life Foods' famous pork burgers will be served. Other sponsors include Neepawa Shop Easy, Neepawa Gladstone Co-op, the Farmery Brewery, and Tim Hortons. Other suppliers are generously coming on board. Doors are open at 4 p.m. Food will be served at 4:30, and the game time is 6:30 p.m. At the regular season closing game, there were almost 1,000 people in attendance. The 50-50 draw pot was over $1,300, and the mood was magical. The Booster Club hopes everyone will come out to cheer our team. The players and staff have worked hard for years to reach this point and could use a lot of fan support to kick off the playoffs. It was a pretty big game the other night, and we wish them well on Sunday. For the Neepawa Natives, simply reaching the MJHL playoffs is not enough. They want to make a statement, but for the club to do that, they'll have to overcome a tremendous challenge in the league's top team, the Steinbach Pistons. Neepawa's 6-3 victory over the Swan Valley Stampeders on Sunday, March the 5th, earned the team their first postseason appearance since the 2009-2010 season. The playoff will open on Friday, March 10th in Steinbach. Game 2 will be back in the Yellowhead Center on Sunday, March the 12th. Steinbach finished first overall in the MJHL standings with a record of 49-10-1. The Natives, meanwhile, head into the postseason on a hot streak, going 9-2-1 in their final 12 games and qualifying with a 21-33-6 record. In head-to-head play, the Pistons won 5 of 6 meetings between the two clubs. In preparation for the best-of-7 series, the Natives coaching staff have been working with the players all week to ensure they're prepared to face the Pistons. Head coach Dustin Howden said Steinbach is a well-rounded team that can be a threat from the top line down. He said their players will have to play them smart. Facing Steinbach is obviously a tough challenge. The regular season they put together was just phenomenal. When you come up against a club like that, you have to be prepared, noted Howden. What we've been doing this week to get ready for them is work on the penalty kill. Steinbach is very good at taking advantage of their power play chances. We need to play disciplined. Don't take bad penalties, and if we do, limit the chances. There are a few things we've worked on to do that. Another major factor in Steinbach's success has been the duo of Mackenzie Graham and Bradley Schoonbear. The pair finished 3rd and 4th in league scoring this season and have led the way for the Pistons throughout the year. Howden stressed that for Neepawa to succeed, they'll have to limit the amount of time and space those forwards have on the ice. On the other side of the ice is goaltender Roman Bengard, who is a consistent force between the pipes and a huge factor in the success of the Pistons this season. He led the league with 38 wins and a .926 save percentage. Howden said that the team will need to get traffic in front of Bengard and put a lot of pucks on the net. He said they'll need to register 30-plus shots on the 20-year-old per game to have a chance. As Howden returned to his preparations for this playoff series, he closed the conversation with the banner, stressing that the Neepawa Natives Club that faced Steinbach earlier this year is not the same one the Pistons will face this weekend. He said his team is now smarter, faster, and most importantly, more confident than they were previously, and hopes that will make them a dangerous team to face. And we wish them the best on Sunday night. And Justin Metcalf won the MJHL Player of the Week. Because the Neepawa Natives have made the MJHL playoffs for the first time in 7 seasons, it was thanks in large part to the outstanding play of Justin Metcalf, who has been named this week's Recycle Everywhere MJHL Player of the Week. Metcalf, who's 19, recorded 8 points, 4 and 4, in the final 4 games of the regular season. 3 of those 4 games were Neepawa wins, helping the club secure the 8th and final playoff berth. Neepawa Natives will now face Steinbach Pistons in their best-of-7 quarterfinal series. Metcalf, who hails from Winnipeg, had 3 multi-point games and was twice named a game star. He also finished first in the native scoring race with 38 goals and 67 points in 59 games. He's an excellent skater. And some high bowling scores. Ladies high single and triple. Vivian Oswald, 336 and 766. Men's high single and triple. Jim King, 231 and 559. And the NFSC competed at provincials. The 2017 Skate Canada Manitoba Star Skate Provincial Championships were held in Verdun on March 4th to 5th. The Neepawa Figure Skating Club, NFSC, was well represented at this competition. Coaches Cynthia Chartrand and Kim Smith were pleased with the skaters' performance. In the Star 4 Under-13 free skate event, Cordelia Smith won the gold medal and came home as the provincial champion. Carissa Ellis placed 4th and Jenna Beaumont placed 11th in the same event with very well skated programs. In the Star 4 over 13 free skate event, Haley Lindsay placed 6th. In the Star 5 girls 13 and over category, Cara Ellis skated to a 7th place finish. NFSC is very proud of all the skaters who attended provincials. Neepawa Figure Skating Club is currently getting ready for their annual ice show. This year, NFSC presents Skating Through Sitcoms on Sunday, March 19 at 4:30 p.m. at the Yellowhead Center. The entire club, right from the can skaters to the competitive skaters to our 4 synchro teams, will perform at this event. Admission is a silver collection. Come on out and enjoy some fantastic skating. And we are going to leave it at that for this week. There are some things that haven't been read out yet, and I'm sure those will be read on Tuesday with the person that's reading the Neepawa Press. So thank you very much, and hopefully you'll tune in next week. Have a good week.